Hey YouTube, Richician of Team Sorcerers here, and in this video, or maybe in 2 videos depending on how long this takes, I'm going to be counting down my top 20 favourite spellcasters. Now spellcasters along with warriors are my favourite monster type in the game, which is pretty obvious as big fan of Dark Magician, big fan of elemental heroes, so I decided to start collections for those, one of which I finished just the other day actually. So this is going to be the first of 3 top 20 videos, starting with spellcasters. Now it's pretty obvious which one's the number 1 pick, but I'm going to do it anyway, just to tell you guys what other spellcasters I like. Hopefully this won't take too long, but yeah, let's just kick it off immediately, starting with the number 20 pick, Magician of Black Chaos. One of my favourite rituals. I did talk about him in my top 7 favourite ritual video, but here he is again. Although he doesn't have an effect, like nostalgia just wins me over every single time. It was great seeing it in the original series anime, I wanted to play it in a deck a little later on, and the Yugi Ritual Turbo deck that I made just gave me an excuse to play this along with Blackluster Soldier, although it did become a card I had to play in my other Yugi deck, the deck specifically made for skeleton character tournaments at Dead Uni. And I actually did summon this during a tag team duel, with help from Alex / Brute Boy. So yeah, very fun card. 2800 attack is nothing to sniff at, regardless of whether a monster has an effect or not. So it makes the list. In at number 19 is another classic card, Old Vindictive Magician, the Man-Eater bug for spellcasters. It kind of surprised me that this card even existed, because Man-Eater bug was a thing, it's more well known, so I was surprised to see a monster with the exact same effect. Only Old Vindictive is actually a lot more versatile than Man-Eater bug, as it's used in the Apprentice engine, special summonable off Apprentice Magician, so it's a very handy card, helpful for getting rid of monsters that none of my other monsters can get rid of, unless of course it has targeting and destruction immunity, in which case that makes this redundant. But other than that, it's a very helpful monster to get me out of a few tight spots. Even back in the day, and it's usable with Magical Dimension as well, which helps out a lot. You could even use Spellbook of Knowledge on this if you really wanted to. In fact, I even remember a story about this big tournament where there was a match where some guy kept beating someone down with an Old Vindictive as well. It was crazy. And I myself once gamed someone with Old Vindictive Magician and on camera. Unfortunately I don't have the video anymore, but Still, even though Old Vindictive isn't in my Dark Magician deck anymore, he's still a great card, always has been. Again, nostalgia wins me over. In at number 18 is Neos Wise Man. Yeah, I bet some of you didn't know he was a spellcaster, which is interesting. Now, although this is one of the most difficult monsters in the game to summon, yeah, I still really like this card, and while it is difficult to summon, it's so worth it. I love it. Just having destruction immunity and doing burn damage equal to the battling monster's attack and recovering life points equal to its defense. It's just so much fun. I love it. And like I mentioned a few times recently, it's getting a support card in the form of Elemental Hero Neos Krieger. I still can't say that right. I mean, it's not the most consistent hero Neos deck, but it's still a lot of fun, and quite a challenge to bring something like this out, but it's not impossible. I even remember I also once managed to summon 2 of these during a duel, although it was against Shield Wing David with Stall Wings, so it wasn't hard to do. Would have been more impressive if I summoned 2 of them in one turn, but it's unlikely that something like that could be pulled off. There's not much else to say about it, really. Gotta love Neos Wise Man. In at number 17 is Endymion the Master Magician, like the original boss monster of the Endymion archetype before Endymion the Mighty Master of Magic came along and knocked him off the top spot. Dark Bribon Legs Brick. Yeah, I still like and prefer the original one. A very cool card, fairly easy to bring out, just by removing 6 spell counters from Magical Citadel, which generally isn't too difficult to do. Although what I didn't realise until like a few years after this came out is that it special summons itself from the grave. Yeah, I completely misread it when the card first came out. I thought it was just the hand, but nope, it's the graveyard as well. And recovering a spell in the process is very nice, and I love its card destroying effect simply by discarding any spell. Pure and simple. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, whether I was playing Archonites of Endymion or briefly playing it in generic Spellcasters. Didn't summon it once in my generic Spellcaster deck though, which is a pity. The other funny thing is about this card is that, whoops, not that, is that this guy is actually special summonable off Magician Navigation, because he's a level 7 monster. I don't know if anyone else thought of this, but yeah, this could potentially be some nice spicy tech in Dark Magician decks. And there's a plethora of spells to use this guy with. You know, clearing away a card, instant rank 7 play. Yeah, it's cool, and the artwork is so awesome as well. number 16 is another classic boss monster, Exodia, the Forbidden One. Yeah, Exodia, I've always liked him, even though Exodia decks are a troll deck, but yeah, although I normally don't like troll decks, Exodia is genuinely the only troll deck that I actually like. Well, unless of course it's a stupid FTK version, but other than that, I've always liked Exodia, purely because he is technically a classic boss monster, and I am a sucker for classic boss monsters. And Exodia was the first proper deck I ever made. Because yeah, I started off with my random deck when I first got into the game. Then I played Exodia. Then I played Dark Paladin. Exodia is awesome. It's quite fun and challenging to focus on trying to stay alive and search the pieces, or gather the pieces by any means necessary. It's, in a way, it is kind of refreshing from what I normally do with my decks, which is build up to an epic boss monster and beat the opponent down with said boss monster. If anything, Exodia decks, I feel, take more skill to play than burn and deck out. And it's easier to play than Destiny board, that's for sure. It's really not much else to say about Exodia. Kind of miss playing the deck. Yeah, Exodia does genuinely have a special place in my heart. In at number 15 is Breaker the Magical Warrior, another classic spellcaster, which once upon a time was a spellcaster in almost every single deck. Yeah, because you could use him as a 1900 beat stick or an MST, so it's pretty versatile. And he's Chaos Food for BLS, Chaos Sorcerer, and Chaos Emperor Dragon, which is really awesome. It took a while for me to get this card though, back in the day, considering it was only out as an Ultra and not exactly cheap, but definitely worth it, and became a helpful card in whatever variant of Dark Magician I played. And he's been in my deck for quite a while now, except on the 2 occasions where it was banned. Yeah, that's right. During the March 2007 and March 2008 formats, he was banned for some reason. I actually don't remember why. It's pretty interesting. Of course, now we can play as many copies as we like. It is a shame that I don't play him in my Dark Magician deck anymore. But then again, Magician's Rod is the only normal summon that's needed in that deck. But still, Breaker is awesome. In at number 14 is Chocolate Magician Girl. Was there ever any doubt this would be on here? The Magician Girls are really cool, and this is basically the best one. because besides Dark Magician Girl, this is basically the only one that can really be used outside of a Magician Girl deck. I mean, I played it for a while in Dark Magician because I could. Yeah, I love the ability to draw. I love the ability to make the opponent think twice before attacking. It is kind of annoying though that they just don't attack into her, but then again it is a smart play, to be fair, because they don't want to risk having me bring a spellcaster back only to attack into it and lose a bunch of life points. And of course, rather annoyingly, they do try and find ways to get around a Chocolate Magician Girl. Like playing Zombie World, for instance. I don't like that card, or just the Zombie Horde deck. It just outright hard counters the Magician Girls. That deck is a terrible matchup. In fact, I swear almost every time I play Magician Girls in a Raw Rumble, there's always someone using the Zombie Horde deck. But having said that, there was one time where someone used it and I did manage to win. But still, it's just annoying. And Utopia the Lightning hard counters them as well. But yeah. Anyway, Chocolate Magician Girl's still awesome all the same. She did make a brief comeback when I was trying out Mana in my Dark Magician deck. Of course, Mana was just too iffy in the end, and of course we got all the cards from Legendary Duelist Magical Hero. So I still only use her in my Magician Girl deck. Very helpful asset. In at number 13 is another classic card, Skilled Dark Magician, one of the very first Dark Magician support cards, and for a while was the main and easiest way to bring Dark Magician out, simply by playing 3 spells, or having the opponent play some spells and just hope it survives long enough. Of course, the best way to do it would be to use the Toon Table engine. Play 3 copies of Toon Table of Contents with this guy on the field, and then sacrifice him to Special Dark Magician. And not gonna lie, I actually do miss playing Skilled Dark Magician in my Dark Magician deck, because I played this guy in that deck for years, absolutely years. I just haven't got the room right now, and there's cards that I need more in the deck. Shame though, considering I play quite a few spells, and this guy's a 1900 beat stick, so it can run over most low-level monsters. Which is awesome. It is kind of annoying though that on the opponent's turn, like every time I either build it up to the right number of spell counters, the opponent destroys it somehow. One of the most common ways back in the day would be Cyber Dragon. So I'd have this on the field, play a few spells, then they drop Cyber Dragon, and I'm like, oh, you've got to be kidding me. So yeah, it is so annoying. Oh yeah, and there was one time where effect veiler was dropped on it after I played the Toon Table engine, and I lost all 3 spell counters. I was not impressed, that's for sure. That's all there is to say. I think we're about 21 minutes in. In at number 12 is Chaos Command Magician, another classic beat stick from back in the day. This guy is really cool as well. Kind of threw me off a bit when I first saw him, because this guy shows a striking resemblance to Dark Paladin, and at first I thought, wait, there's another version of him? But then I saw it's a completely different monster. But what a monster it is, just having targeting immunity from monster effects, which was good in the early days. No man-eater bug, no old vindictive, no BLS, no chaos sorcerer, no snipe hunter, although rather annoyingly, tribe infecting virus, DD Warrior Lady and Cyberjar and Fiberjar could still get rid of it, because obviously their effects don't target. Either that or stronger monsters like BLS can just attack over it, just like that. It's still a cool card though. One of the boss monsters are my generic Spellcasters. He was also a techie card I was running in my Dark Magician deck as well for a while. And he's pretty easy to bring out, just 1 tribute. Yeah, I guess in the earlier days some would say he's better than Dark Magician, but I still of course prefer Dark Magician any day. But Chaos Command Magician is so cool. In at number 11 is Supreme Arcanite Magician, one of my favourite fusion monsters, which I did already talk about before, but still, this card is so cool as well, especially the ultimate rare version. But in any case, it's the same card that does the same thing. But this guy just rocks as well. Gaining 2 spell counters upon his fusion summons. He starts out at 14 but comes out as a 3/4 beat stick and gives me the power to either destroy a card or draw a card. Like, it's so much fun. I love it. It does of course require a spellcaster synchro and any spellcaster to make, but you know, in generic spellcasters and some form of Dark Magician deck, it's definitely a fun card to try and fit in. Yeah, and it's fairly easy to bring out with Miracle Synchro Fusion in the deck. And that's all there is to say, really. It's so awesome. I wish I could use it a bit more. Oh, let's keep going. In at number 10 is Quintet Magician, the 5-headed dragon of spellcasters. I mean, this card is an absolute boss. It's so awesome. I mean, it may be slightly weaker than 5-headed dragon, but has a far superior effect. having destruction immunity, can't be tributed and can't be used as a fusion material. So yeah, not only can things like Regeki and Mirror Force and Lightning Storm can't touch it, but like it can't be kaiju'd, it can't be lava golemed, it can't be raw sphere moded, and super polymerization can't touch this guy, and nobody can use Chimera Tech Mega Fleet to get rid of it. It's just fantastic. I love it. And of course there's the bonus effect, which I like, where if 5 spellcasters with different names are used, it nukes the opponent's board. Unfortunately, it's not that simple to do it in a Dark Magician deck, because I don't generally play a lot of spellcasters with different names. But in Magician Girls, however, it's a different story, because there's so many different spellcasters for me to use. Now, Magician Girls don't heavily rely on the extra deck, but it's a very good option to go into mid to late game. I probably still could play it in my Dark Magician deck if I wanted to, but I don't know how often I'd get the bonus effect of wiping the opponent's board. Nevertheless, he is a cool card and has to be one of the best spellcasters in the game. If he had targeting immunity as well, that would have made him a lot better. Like, I don't know why they didn't give it targeting immunity. In at number 9 is Palladium Oracle Mahard. Basically, the closest thing we're going to get, really, or what we have, to a light counterpart to Dark Magician. He's a really awesome card. I mean, I know Dark Magician players, well, not a lot of Dark Magician players like to use him. I do, though, because it's a nice boss monster to top deck into. Just a free special summon. Just attacks over most dark monsters, which is really, really handy. Like, this is an outer ultimate Falcon, for God's sake. And Diabolos, Lord of the Lair. Luna like Leo Dancer, Blackwing Full Armor Master, Dingiasu if there's no materials on him, and he floats for a Dark Magician if he's destroyed, which is awesome as well. Only problem is he's just a dead card if I draw him into my opening hand, which is really annoying, and he misses timing if I draw him off a Lure of Darkness, because the first effect is an optional when effect, and obviously with a Lure, the last thing to happen is either banishing a dark or sending your entire hand to the graveyard. So you've got to be careful there. But other than that, he could be used for a rank 7 if need be, and also he adds up to the Soul Servant count. That's just an extra card to draw when you banish Soul Servant. And Soul Servant actually solves the problem of Mahard being a brick in the opening hand. I mean, just stack it back on top so that I can actually play this guy. Having said that, though, there were a couple of occasions where I even ended up tribute summoning my Mahard, which is so stupid. But it paid off though, and won me the games that I did that in. In at number 8 is another Soul card, more specifically Magician's Soul, or should I say Magician's ridiculously expensive card, am I right? This really is an awesome, amazing card, which helped out Dark Magician a lot, because despite the support we got in the Dark Illusion and the Dark Side of the Dimensions movie pack, one of the problems with Dark Magician decks is that we can't get Dark Magician out on turn 1, and we have to wait a turn to bring him out with Navigation or Eternal Soul. Well, unless of course we were playing Dark Magic Veil, or would discard Dark Magician for Twin Twisters or Apprentice Illusion Magician and then revive him with Monster Reborn. Magician's Soul just brings him out just like that, turn 1, or Dark Magician Girl if need be. And he has a nice draw effect as well, which honestly I've not used very often. Like, I swear every time I've used Magician's Soul it was always to special Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl. I might have used the draw effect a couple of times, don't remember. Yeah, it's great. I just wish he wasn't so expensive and hard to get. Right, yeah, I was lucky to pull 2 play sets from the case opening, so I can't complain, but like, I'm complaining for like the other Dark Magician players who want this card but have a hard time getting it. I hope we don't have to wait too long before it gets a much cheaper reprint. I mean, there are Dark Magician players I know who are good friends of mine that still need free for their decks. It's just kind of annoying though that the price was jacked up, or because it was used and abused in Spirals and Endymion. Obviously with Master Plan banned, it can't be played in Spirals anymore, but Endymion can of course still use this. I anticipate it could end up going to 1. If it did go to 1, then yeah, on one hand it would be really annoying, because Dark Magician is being punished for a crime he didn't commit, but on the other hand I'd be okay with it, because it would give me an excuse to try and play other things in my Dark Magician deck. But we shall see what happens. I'm going to have some water because I'm losing my voice here. Number 7, going back to classic magicians, Dark Magician of Chaos, the upgraded form to Dark Magician, or one of them anyway, or the effect counterpart to Magician of Black Chaos. By the way, this is the original one I got. Well, that's a lie. This is the second one I ever got. I did have another one, but I foolishly traded it away. Like, I don't even know why I did that. But then again, I was being a naive amateur at the time, not knowing what it was worth. But I got this one, which has been in my Dark Magician deck for a while before it got banned back in 2008. Yeah, it's become one of my favourite spellcasters in the game. It truly is an epic card, just recovering spells. It's not too difficult to bring out either. I know there's dedication through light and darkness, but there's also magical dimension, even though with magical dimension, if I choose to destroy a monster, then the effect of Dark Magician of Chaos misses timing. It's also quite handy for dealing with monsters that I don't want going to the graveyard. I mean, again, I don't normally like banishing my opponent's monsters, although I'll do it if I really have to. I mean, the drawback is pretty harsh, though, just being banished when he leaves the field, but I guess considering what he does is just as well. Yeah, I actually do kind of miss playing him in my Dark Magician deck sometimes. I suppose he can still be played, because I have dedication, which can be searched off Rod and Circle. I don't know. But yeah, not only that, I love how he was also one of the boss monsters of Diamond Dew Turbo, one of the very few meta decks from back in the day that I actually genuinely liked, just because of my love for heroes. And Jinzo was in there as well, which was awesome. There's not really much else to say. Dark Magician of Chaos is amazing, whether it's pre-errata or errata. In at number 6 is the Sorcerer of Dark Magic, the trap card counterpart to Horus, the Black Flame Dragon level 8. It's not too easy to summon, but it can be done, especially in a Dark Magician deck. Even today, I think he's easier to summon now than he was back then. But yeah, despite not being easy to summon, he's a cool, fun card to bring out and stop the opponent using traps. So, like with this guy out, I could just attack with safety without fear of traps, while I could still play my own. In a way, you might say it's better than Jinzo, although Jinzo is just more versatile and easier to summon. Mind you, though, Jinzo does stop me from using traps as well, but Sorcerer, oh boy, he's a problem if he's on the field, that's for sure. In fact, I even remember briefly playing him in my Dark Paladin deck, because I was also playing Magical Scientist at the time, and what I did was play multiple copies of Sandwich, the fusion of Witch of the Black Forest and Sangan, and what I do is pay 2k to special 2 of them and drop Sorcerer, which was cool. In fact, if anything, back then that was without a doubt the very, very easy way and easiest way to bring out Sorcerer of Dark Magic. And then, of course, Magical Scientist got banned because yeah, he got used and abused too much for FTK purposes, so I couldn't do that trick anymore. Again, I could play this in Dark Magician if I wanted to, but I just don't have the room, and there isn't anything that can search this guy. Like, I have to basically hard draw him. Still, it is a possibility for the future. In at number 5 is Magician of Chaos, Dark Magician's ritual counterpart. This guy is just awesome, just copying Dark Magician's name, so he gets the protection of Eternal Soul, and I can bring him back with Eternal Soul, and he's such a cool problematic card for the opponent to deal with, and so disruptive, just allowing me to destroy a card on either player's turn when anyone activates a spell trap or spell or trap effect. He's just nasty when combined with Circle, and pretty easy to bring out. And it's also nice that he specials a BLS or Chaos Ritual monster from hand when he dies as well. I wish it special summoned them from the deck though, which would make it a lot better, but then again, that would help out Blue Eyes Chaos Max Dragon players too much, and I don't think a lot of us want a card in the game that specials Chaos Max from the deck. Fuck that. Yeah, I did play him in my Dark Magician deck for a while, took it out because I think I needed to make the deck more consistent at the time. I wish I still could, just play one of him, and just like how I play one Cybus Magician in my Cybus deck, but again, I lack the room. I know I said this already when I went over my favourite ritual list, but it was a while ago. But having said that though, I am of course running this in my Blackluster Soldier deck right now, because I can. And it's such a cool techie card, in that deck at least. In at number 4 is the Dark Magicians, the newest Dark Magician fusion. Or at least it is until Red Eye's Dark Dragoon comes out. Fuck that guy. Yeah, this is a really awesome card as well. A very easy fusion to bring out, just needing Dark Magician or Dark Magician Girl and any spellcaster, and letting me draw cards, which is nice, and floating for Dark Magician and Dark Magician Girl when he's destroyed. Oh yeah, and giving me the option to set a spell or trap if I draw it off his effect. So it's really cool and versatile. Like everyone else only plays 1. I of course play 2 in my Dark Magician deck, just because of how easy it is to bring out, and just what it can do for the deck. It's great. I even play it in my Magician Girls as well, because I can. Yeah, it's just one of the main fusions to go for, along with Dragon Knight. Seems to come out a lot more than Dragon Knight. I mean, there's not much else to say, really. They're definitely an absolute must. And speaking of Dark Magician Girl, my waifu is at number 3. Now, I did already talk about her in my top 10 favourite card video, but I've always been a fan. I was pleasantly surprised that this card was even a thing. like in the very early days of when I started playing, as I became a huge fan of Dark Magician, like right at the end of 2003, and actually I got the card in 2004. Then I saw that Dark Magician Girl was a thing, and I just had to have her as well. It took a while to get her, but I did. I really like the artwork, particularly this artwork. She's a beautiful card, and just a lot of fun to play in my Dark Magician deck. Like, she's been in and out of it over time. Even played a deck solely based on her. Whether it was just Dark Magician Girl or Magician Girls nowadays. It's quite interesting that a whole archetype was made around her, which is awesome. But now, of course, I play her in 2 decks, Dark Magician, because she's actually very much needed in that deck. And of course Magician Girls, where like she's the star. That's all there is to say, really. There's not much I can say that I haven't said already. In at number 2 is Dark Paladin, the ultimate magical swordsman. Until Shining Flare Wingman came along, this was my favourite fusion in the game. Like, yeah, I thought it was really cool that there was a Dark Magician fusion, and again, I had to have it. Yeah, and Dark Paladin, like I said, is the first proper Dark Magician deck I ever made. I mean, it's just a lot of fun. Even if Dark Magician gets stuck in my hand, I can use him as a fusion material to go into this guy. Yeah, for a while was every Dragon deck's worst nightmare, but until Buster Blade the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman came along, and that proved to be even more of a nightmare. But Dark Paladin is still one of the big dragon slayers. Of course, unfortunately though, there are dragons that can deal with him. Blue Eyes Alternative, Crystal Wing, Exploder Dragon, which is rather annoying, but other than that, it's still nice and pretty cheeky, gaining attack points from dragons present on the field and in any graveyard. Not a huge fan of his other effects though, just negating spells. Like, I don't like that effect. But yeah, I generally won't use that effect unless I really have to. Like, if my board is being threatened in some way, or I don't want the opponent doing something that will result in me getting FTK'd, OTK'd, or locked down. I mean, to be fair, like, even though I still play it in my Dark Magician deck, he doesn't come out that much anymore. It's usually the Dark Magicians and Dark Magician the Dragon Knight that get fusion summoned more than this guy. But it's still nice to have in the deck, just for the sake of nostalgia. And before I unveil the number 1 pick, I'm going to give a few honourable mentions to Toy Magician and Time Wizard. A Time Wizard is a really cool, fun card, which has also been in and out of Dark Magician, and something else that's special summonable through Apprentice Magician. It does depend a bit too much on luck, though. Mind you, though, when I won a tournament for the first time with that deck, it was mainly because of Time Wizard. Like, I was just getting lucky with my coin flips almost every game, except in the final, but it didn't even matter. But rather annoyingly, in recent times when I played it, it just backfired too much, which was unfortunate. But I still like that guy. And Toy Magician, like, that's a pretty fun card. There's something to put in the back row. Punishes opponents for using back row against me, I guess. Destroying a back row with it doesn't come up very often because it needs to be flip summoned. I mean, Silver Sentinel is better, but Toy Magician does help in either Dark Magician or generic Spellcasters. And it gives me Tribute Fodder, Synchro Fodder, Xyz Fodder, I guess Link Fodder now, in this day and age, or Fusion Fodder, because that can be used for the Dark Magicians and Supreme Arcanite Magician if need be. Whether or not I'll play it in a deck again, I don't know. Could be handy in Dark Magician, I guess. If the opponent's going after my back row, trying to get rid of Circle, Eternal Soul, or anything else I have. Who knows? And of course, in at number 1, as you've easily guessed, is Dark Magician. Like, it was, I know, it was just too obvious, too predictable. There's just no suspense. Like, you know what channel you're on, you know who I am. And honestly, there's not much I can say about Dark Magician that I haven't said already. Like, he's just going to top this list like every single time. Considering he's been my favourite card for over 16 years now, and has been in whatever a main signature deck I played in, and not just Dark Magician, but also like my random deck, Legendary Hero, and of course generic Spellcasters, and actually random All-Stars. I even play him in Magician Girls as well, because why not? I mean, I don't know why other Magician Girl players don't play him, because although the focus is Dark Magician Girl, like, in my personal opinion, you can't really have a Dark Magician Girl or Magician Girl deck without Dark Magician. Like, otherwise, where's she gonna get the 300 boost from? But besides Kiwi Magician Girl, you know. So yeah, there's really nothing I can say that I haven't said already in previous videos, but yeah, again, Dark Magician just takes the top spot every single time. So yeah, that's it, guys. That is the list of my top 20 favourite spellcasters. I'm pretty sure this video is almost an hour long. Yeah, 54 minutes. This has to be the longest top card video I have ever done. But thanks very much if you've stuck with me this long. But yeah, I hope you liked it all the same. If you did, leave a like, leave a comment, share and subscribe if you haven't subbed already. And if you're a fan of Spellcasters as well, let me know what your guys' top favourite spellcasters are in the comments section down below. And stay safe, and I will catch you guys later. See ya.